Well, welcome everybody to another Mindful Monday where we provide resources, education, connection, and collaboration to support you on your wellness journey. And I would like to start by thanking our sponsors, Tara Stef Miles, White Sands Premier Travel, and Vibe for making this episode possible. So, after a traumatic brain injury, postpartum struggles, and chronic pain, Tara discovered a missing piece in her healing journey, and it's high quality electrolyzed reduced water. And what began as skepticism quickly turned into transformation as she experienced relief from inflammation and joint pain, and finally able to play the guitar again after months of debilitating wrist pain. This miracle sparked inspiration, and Tara realized that if water could change everything for her family, it could help others too. So now she educates and empowers others to take control of their health and hydration through a deeper understanding of what what real healing water is and isn't. She's also the founder of Taradise Found, and I love that name. It just really suits her, especially when you get to know her here. But it's a wellness brand and a mission led movement devoted to helping pets and their people heal naturally by starting with the water they drink. So please help me welcome Tara Stef Miles. Tara, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Laura, for having me on. It's such a blessing, and I'm grateful to be on the show and to have known you for, I was doing the math, I think it's been about 6 or 7 years now.
Yep, it's been a while, and I've always loved your passion and your heart for helping others and helping others holistically. Because, and that's you're even one of the ones that introduced me to some of the things that were out there, that things that we could do to take charge of our health holistically. And I've always admired that about you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
but
Sharing is caring, and the grateful blessings that come my way. I'm just here to share along with others. So I'm grateful that you were, responsive and interested too.
Oh, absolutely. So, can you take us back to your health journey? What were you struggling with before you discovered the natural healing and the power of water?
Yeah, Laura. Well, I have a 10-month-old son right now as we film today, and he's almost 11. Actually, tomorrow he'll be 11 months old. So he is the love of my life. First time mama in my 40s, super grateful, was totally fine in my first 2 trimesters of the pregnancy. And third trimester hit me like a big tsunami tidal wave. And I was experiencing a ton of joint pain, mostly in my feet. My feet really swelled up a lot, and I thought maybe I might have plantar fasciitis or something going on in my feet. And actually, when I gave birth, we were trying for a home water birth. Unfortunately, that wasn't part of the birth plan, and we ended up transferring to the hospital and ending in C-section, which is totally fine. He's a great, healthy boy, but in the hospital, I actually, the nurse, when she put the IV in my wrist, she actually nicked a nerve. And unfortunately, I was dealing with a lot of severe wrist pain and a 10.2, 10 pound, 2 ounces baby boy to
Wow.
lift. So I was in a lot of pain and discomfort. And that pain really lingered on for a solid 6 months after he was born. I didn't discover the water until I really sat in prayer and was asking. As you know, I'm a natural healer, and I do all sorts of different energy frequency therapies, sound healing, tuning forks, CBD, I mean, essential oils, frequency healing. Nothing was touching the discomfort that I was having in my body. And I really sat with it and prayed and asked. I'm a woman of faith, and I prayed to our creator, God, please show me, what do I need to heal my body? And I was literally given this word that I could not get out of my mind. And the word was acidity, acidic, acidic. You're acidic. And of course, I go, well, I know I'm breastfeeding. I'm trying to eat whatever I can to get calories. And, I'm eating gluten, soy, and sugar and dairy and all the things that I know can lead to acidity. But then the next thing I got was water, 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 water. And I prayed and I asked, and our creator, I said, okay, what about the water? We've been drinking filtered water. And so I thought that was, water is water. And we actually ordered a pH test kit off of Amazon and discovered that the pH of our water, actually, that we had been drinking in my whole pregnancy and breastfeeding, was acidic water. And it was a 6.0, it should be at least a 7. And that sent me into a tailwind of, oh my gosh, now what do I need to do to address this? So, yeah, that was kind of where I was before all of this came into my life. And I had met a friend of mine, Jen, actually, probably about the same time that you and I met, Laura. And, I couldn't get her out of my head. And I knew she had an incredible story with the water and how it was truly miraculous in her life and her family's life. And I reached out to her, and that's where this whole journey just kind of unfolded.
Wow. So what would you say out of all of that was like the definite turning point in when you realized you had to make a change?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. I mean, I moved to Florida. I'm from Colorado originally, so I joked that I traded the snow for sand, and I, didn't want to live in shoes and socks anymore. And my feet were in so much pain, honestly, Laura, that I couldn't live in flip flops, which, oh darn. So I was, trying to find the comfiest pair of shoes I could find, and having to succumb to wearing socks and shoes. And it was, I couldn't live like that. And I play guitar. I was actually in an all female rock and roll band for a few years when I lived back in Colorado when you and I met. And, playing guitar is such a passion of mine. And I couldn't really play. It was hard enough to lift my baby, let alone to, use my chord crunching hands to try and
Right.
do that. So it was just a beautiful time for me to say, okay, let's finally do this. And so, yeah, we got the machine, and literally within 4 days of drinking the water, I woke up, put my feet on the floor, no pain, out of bed. I was like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. And 2 weeks later, my wrist pain went away. So that was quite a blessing too. And my husband experienced some similar experiences in his body when he had been dealing with foot pain in his feet for 15 years. And he actually, it only took 2 days on the water for him to get his results. And he bounced out of bed and had more energy than I'd ever seen him, and was like, babe, my feet don't hurt. And he actually lost over 30 pounds of toxic belly fat from just drinking the water for 2 months. So it's been amazing. I was able to actually, even recently, I went in, got my tooth, teeth cleaning from the dentist. And back in, before we had gotten the machine, I was diagnosed. They said I had 5 cavities in my mouth, which I was really surprised with because I'm very, adamant about oral health and hygiene and brushing my teeth. And of course, I had my son in July last year. So when November came around, I realized I was probably nutrient deficient or something, minerals, And so I started a regimen of using the acidic water that we actually create from the machine and the super alkaline water because it can do different settings, which we can talk about more. But basically, I went in just this month for my follow up 6 month checkup, and I had no cavities. So body can heal, even the teeth. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that is remarkable, and I think you and I left Colorado pretty much close the same time. It's funny, we both went warmer because I went to
Yeah,
Missouri. I just kept the mountains. I got Ozarks still. I think the mountains still, but definitely warmer temperatures.
yeah, I
Um,
love it. I lived in St. Louis for a little while, so
yeah. So,
yeah,
and it's amazing too, like you mentioned, because I don't care whether it's weight releasing or whatever. It always seems like guys have an easier time a lot of times and seem to do it faster and quicker than women
I know, right?
for whatever reason. Um, but what was your husband on board with this right away, or was he really skeptical? I
Oh,
mean,
he was so skeptical, and he's very sciencey minded, and his parents are in, traditional medicine surgeons and doctors, and so he was very skeptical. He actually works in cancer treatment. He maintains a machine that does proton therapy, which is a very targeted form of radiation. So he is the field service engineer. He maintains the machine, and he had never heard anything about water and its healing benefits. And of course, when he looked at the price tag on the machine, he's like, yeah, we're going to find something that's cheaper. This isn't quite in the budget right now for this. And, he was willing to actually look at the research. There's actually over 20,000 clinical studies that have been done on the scientific term is called electrolyzed reduced water. And so you can look on PubMed and find research articles. So I was feeding him all the science that I could find, like, hey, babe, look at this. We got to check it out. And reluctantly, he said, okay, but if we do this, I'm not drinking anything else. Like, he cut out all coffee, energy drinks, soda.
Mhm.
Like, he stopped everything and just started drinking like a gallon of water a day, which is really what you need to do. Because if you imagine, you have to replace the water that's in your body and with this healing water. And it's amazing when you actually do commit to drinking it consistently and giving your body, flushing your kidneys, your liver, everything just goes back online, and detox pathways open up. That NRF2 pathway that I know a lot of people are learning about, that it activates that as well. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that people in our bodies are much like the earth. We are like 75 to 90% water, and your cells, every fiber of your body like needs water. But it's not
Mhm.
just water you need, the
Mhm.
proper water, as you've found out. So, how did electrolyzed reduced water, ERW,
Mhm.
play a role in your recovery?
Yeah, and I'd like to just touch on that real quick. That's a really good
Mhm.
question. Like I said, after just a few days of the water, I could literally feel the difference within my body, and I've learned a lot more, Laura, about dehydration. And people are chronically dehydrated, and the reason why is, even if you drink a gallon a day of regular water, the structure of the water, if you look down at the molecular size, it's actually too large to actually enter what are called the aquaporin channels. I don't want to get too sciencey on anybody, but we do have really great videos on our YouTube channel. You can geek out on that if you like all of that. But the basics are, if you're trying to, say you have a chain link fence and you're trying to throw a softball through the chain link fence, it's not going to go through. That's the water that we're normally drinking. It's too large to enter this channel. So, what this electrolyzed reduced water ionizer does, it's a medical grade certified water ionizer. It's been used for over 50 years. They have them in over 300 cancer treatment centers around the world. And the company bases out of Japan, which is amazing. All the machines are handmade, handcrafted. And what they do is it actually uses electrolysis, which is essentially energizing the water. So if you think of like how lightning, when it hits a body of water, it's rippling out and that energy gets discharged throughout the water. Well, when the water runs over the plate, so you just hook it up to your regular faucet on your tap, right? There's a filter within the machine, or you can have a pre-filter. It runs over these plates and it structures the water so it breaks them down. If you think of it like grapes on a vine, most clusters of water are like 30 plus in size. And the machine that we have actually reduces that to a much smaller, like 5 to 6 to 10 molecules in size. So it can actually enter through the channels. So imagine throwing, we love sand, right? So imagine throwing sand through that chain link fence. It's going to go right on through, and your body needs water. We, like you said, when we're born, we're 90% water. And as we age, we lose the ability to hold on to water. And it's really a shame, because they found that people, when they pass away, typically in their 70s, they're less than 50% water. And we need that water every single transaction within our body for cellular uptake and waste removal. It requires water to flush it in and out of the cell. So this water helps you get that in and out faster, which is why I personally, it's jump starting the immune system, right? It's like
Mhm.
literally going in and flooding the inflammation in the body. And inflammation, as I know you know, and many of our viewers probably know, inflammation is heat. It's like fire, rampant fire in the body, right? And
Yeah,
so,
I get a kick out of
yeah,
people that always wanna put heating pads on inflamed places. I'm like, "It's already hot, try
it's
ice."
already hot, right? You're pouring
Try ice.
gasoline on a fire. So, yeah, these toxins that in our body are really the root cause of the inflammation. And so, if you can get the acidity, again, body in a disease state thrives when it's low oxygen, stagnant, and acidic. And that's really the breeding ground for disease. So, if you can reverse those three things, get more oxygen and hydration and hydrogen into the cells, reduce the acidity and rebalance. That's what this body water does. Is it balances the body, and you can feel that within just a few days. I mean, I have a girl we do water trials. If you're in the Orlando area and you want to try some, you can find me, or we can get you hooked up to give a trial for this water. It's really amazing. Personally, that's not what we did. We bought the machine sight unsound and had a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you're interested, yeah, you can text me to my phone number that Laura put on there. Text Mindful Mondays, and we can get you hooked up with some water in your local area if that's possible. But a friend of mine was on the water, and she texted me just yesterday saying, I need more of this water. I feel dried out. Like, she had been off of it for about a week, and she's like, I didn't realize just how bad I needed it.
Yeah, it's amazing when you make the right changes, like, clean eating or, whatever, and you get used to that. And then you try to go back to something you did and your body just like screams at you. I always tell people their body is their best MRI, right?
Right.
You just got to know how to listen to it.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about, that's so true. Because when I do the voice scan for people, it's a check engine light for their body. And almost every time it comes up, increase hydration,
Yeah.
deeper breathing.
Yep.
It's amazing what water, the proper water and oxygen can do for you. But
I
yeah.
love that AO scan, by the way. That was so cool to see that. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, and it's another thing. It's hard for people to wrap their head around because it's not. Let's face it, it's not how we were brought up, right?
Yeah.
We were brought up in a society where you don't feel well, you go to the doctors, they
Yep.
throw stuff at you, you go. But then, if you start looking at this stuff, it does more damage than good, and everything has its place. So I don't poo poo all over anything. Somebody that needs it, yes, absolutely. But and do that. I'm not telling anybody to ever stop their medications, but when you can do something to fix it that could help you to eliminate it
Yeah. Well,
eventually.
it's interesting
We
that you
we don't
say
say
that.
just stop,
Yep.
shut it off, and
Mhm.
and go. We would never tell anybody that, but
Yeah, I agree with you there because, it does have its place for sure. And there are ways, actually, the water can actually help your medication work more effectively, and supplements that you take, because of the way that it's structured, and it actually can help nutrients get into the cell faster. So it can make you actually, in lots of conditions. Again, we can't make any medical claims to cure, treat, prevent, or heal anything. But if you're working alongside with your doctor, I've known people who have been able to get off their blood pressure medication, their cholesterol medication, or greatly reduce it, like significantly reduce it, just by drinking this water. So it's quite
right.
amazing.
Yeah, and like you said, to be clear, we are not doctors. We're not giving you medical advice.
Right.
What we're sharing with you is things that we found holistically that helps and can make a huge difference in your health. And I love that you're here sharing this with everybody. Can you tell me what was some of the most surprising results of your family experienced with this?
Yeah, well, honestly, it's just been the first glass that I ever even drank, Laura. I mean, I like coffee, but I'll have one glass just because I like the flavor of it, and not really because I feel like, even though I am a new mama, I've been sleeping so amazing by drinking this water. It actually helps you sleep better. So I wake up really energized. But even after just that first glass that I drank, I waited 30 minutes after I drank this water, and I looked at my husband and I said, do you feel that? Like, I literally felt the energy. Like, it felt like I drank a cup of coffee without like feeling jittery or anything. I just perked up and had great energy. So I would say that has been a lifesaver for me. Also for my family. So we did have a rash of flu or something that came through, right? And
Mhm.
I know so many moms and babies that, I talk to them and they're like, oh, my kid's been sick for a week and all of these things. Well, our family, yeah, it started with my husband. And it just kind of cascaded like a domino effect. So he got it, then I got it, then the baby got it. My mom was visiting. We all got it. But we all drank this water. And within one day, we were all feeling better. It was so amazing. So we're grateful for that. I would say, for me alone, it's the ability to have my joints back, and the mobility. I mean, you don't, I
Well, yeah, especially
really
when you
just
couldn't do
thinking,
something that you loved,
right.
right? You
Can't play
loved playing your
guitar,
guitar and in the
even
band,
just
and you couldn't
walking
do that.
around. Like, man, I feel for people who are strongly, have a lot of inflammation in their joints and arthritic. I thought I might have rheumatoid arthritis or something. It was so bad. I was literally like on the verge of seeking out a rheumatologist when I prayed about it. So I feel like this message, when people hear it, there's a tug at them if they've tried everything else and nothing seems to be working. It really could be as simple as what they're drinking in the water they're drinking, Laura.
Yeah, and it's amazing that there's so many of us that don't or didn't know about it, because it has been around for over 50 years. I
I
knew people
know,
years ago that had it, and they
right?
actually had a co-op where, you could pay so much a month and you could just go fill up your,
Sure,
fill up
yeah.
your jugs. But if you're really drinking as much water and the things you cook and everything you do with water,
Yes.
that can get kind of cumbersome trying trying to
Well,
go to
and you
somebody
mentioned
else's
it
house and fill your
too.
stuff all the time.
Right, because of all the different uses, like literally, there's a setting on the device that you can actually use to create 2.5 pH, which is actually called hypochlorous acid. And it's found they actually are using this to sanitize in these hospitals that are using this machine. They're offering the alkaline water for the drinking, but they're also using the hypochlorous acid water setting to sanitize better than bleach. I was like astounded. So it's like I've looked at, I mean, I've cut out, let's see, there's a setting you can use to for laundry detergent, skin toner, face wash, all the cleansers, everything. I
So you
mean,
get
like
rid of all of your
literally,
toxic stuff that you have in
oh
the
yeah,
house.
definitely. I mean, if you look at the cost of just bottled water alone, this machine, if people are drinking bottled water, will save them $20,000 over the course of its lifetime because the machine lasts for 30 years. But when you add in all those other savings of not buying, all these cleansers and things around your house, like it can easily save a family of four up to $60,000 over
Well, it's not
30
just
years.
that.
Amazing.
So where my mind goes is, and the biggest thing you would save is you're not paying co-pays or hospital bills and stuff,
True.
because if you're healthy, you
Yep.
don't have all the hospital bills and stuff coming in, because those can add up a whole lot faster than your stuff that you buy.
Well, you're right. And if it's like I always say, if you invest in your health, you won't have to invest in your illness.
Yeah.
So it's a paradigm shift, but I think people are really starting to take their own advocacy seriously and asking their doctor these questions of, what have you learned about electrolyzed reduced water, doc? And probably they'll look at you like, what? Nothing. I mean, water is water. That's what we
That
all
was not
got.
in my school.
Yep.
Yeah. I know we have a lot more information to give people, because there's a lot more that I know people, I'm sure, are curious about this machine, but we are going to take a quick break from a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back.
Relief for PTSD, anxiety, pain, insomnia, and many other ailments. Introducing Vibe, the world's only pocket PEMF device. You place in your pocket while cooking, cleaning, relaxing, watching TV, sitting at your computer, reading, or walking. Self-contained standalone device. No drugs. No other phone or Bluetooth connections required. No monthly subscription fees. No apps to download. No Bozone. The future of medicine is in the frequencies. Come join the revolution.
I love that ad too. It makes me, I was like, I need to be back on vacation.
Come on out. And speaking of which, little plug for you. My goodness, Laura, that cruise that you hooked us up with was the best cruise ever. My husband had never been on a cruise. My son was 5, 6 months old at the time, and he just had a blast. And wow, definitely love working with you in terms of going and creating paradise all over the world.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um, so let me ask you then, because everybody, thinks water is water.
Mhm.
Why would you say water, not all water is created equal?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Laura. See, the thing is, most water that we're drinking is actually, they consider it dead water. It doesn't have any electrical charge. Our bodies, like we know, and I love your vibe, the frequency technology and the frequencies of medicine of the future, like Tesla said, and Rife technology. I mean, these machines have been around for so long, but nothing's really been energizing water. Our body runs on energy. Our mitochondria need energy in order to produce energy. It's what we run on. We run on negative electrical charge, and our body actually needs a negative 50 millivolts to maintain, and each organ requires its own energetic load. As I'm sure you're aware, that the liver has a different energy needed than the heart, than the brain, than the eyes. And if we're depleted of energy and we don't have enough of it, then we start feeling that fatigue and feeling that rundown, and like we just can't charge our batteries. And the thing is, most water, and I'm sure you've heard of these places that there's like living water. It was referred to in the Bible as well, of this living water as well. And there are these healing places on the planet, including the beach, right? When we go and we love the beach, we've been all, I'm joke that I'm a mermaid and I'm just, here enjoying the beach. But we're craving that highly negative charge from the ions from the earth, from the water. And the places like Lourdes of France, there's, healing centers where people claim they go in the water, they drink the water, and they're healed. And the reason why is because these living waters and are energized, and they have that negative. If you're interested and you want to sink more into the science behind this, look at what is an electron donor. How does that work? When you drink this water, it's donating electrons to your body. So think of free radicals. We know, we've heard the toxins and free radicals, those have a positive charge. And so when you drink this water and these healing waters that have this high electrical negative charge, it's literally going through and one for one neutralizing these free radicals. So I think of it like police officers, which my father is actually in law enforcement, and I'm super grateful that we have people in our community who are willing to do that. But imagine if we had no police force and people just could do whatever they wanted, and there were criminals literally out there, wreaking havoc in the world. What this water is doing is like arming the citizens and the police and getting more of those fighters out there to neutralize the bad stuff. So the toxins in the body, it's just literally going through like a magnet and pulling things off of the digestive tract, the intestinal wall, the plaque and the buildup in the arteries. Like it's literally going through as a free radical scavenger and grabbing up these and neutralizing the damage that's caused by oxidative stress. The resting process, we are resting from the inside out, unfortunately, is the aging process. So this water, we can literally say, and it's backed by science and peer-reviewed clinical studies, to be anti-aging. So I'm actually 90 years old. No, I'm just kidding. But you look at people who have been drinking this water for 15, 20 years, and they're in their 70s and they look like they're in their 50s. And you can literally see the hydration in my skin is plumped up. People say everywhere I go, you look
Hmm.
like you're glowing. And I'm
Oh
just,
yeah.
I feel great. So I think people deserve to
Normally, when you're glowing, they ask you if you're pregnant again.
know, right? Well, I don't think so, but you
Nope.
never.
Yeah. No, and then that's true because I've had a guest on before that does water healing and water healing retreats, and one of the reasons they go to like Bali and certain places, it has to do with the meridians
Yeah, the ley lines of
and
the
where
earth.
the lines are. So you can really go down a whole other avenue
Oh, I
with.
want to touch on one more thing,
Go
because
ahead.
people think, right, bottled water, whatever. Do you realize that the bottled water you buy, whether it's at the store or Costco, I go, and of course, living in Hurricane Alley, people, I go every time and I see people buying cases and cases of water at Costco or wherever. And that water has literally been sitting on a shelf, sitting, in a warehouse, in a distribution center, getting on a truck, driving across the country, wherever it was bottled, and has been sitting for 6 months to 5 years is the average time that bottled water is sitting there. The water and the electrical charge, the reason why you want to get a machine is so you can drink this fresh, because it actually loses its electrical charge and that molecular hydrogen, that powerful healing antioxidant fighter, or you know the antioxidant part, right? It
Mhm.
loses that after 72 hours. There's none detectable, so it literally becomes dead water. And so that's why you cannot bottle this water. It can't be sold in stores. A lot of companies will sell alkaline water, and so I want to touch on that real quick, because that's basically a marketing gimmick. First of all, if you're ever in the store, read the ingredients on that alkaline water. Wait, why are there ingredients in water? You would think, isn't water its only thing it needs? No,
Yeah.
they will add things like sodium bicarbonate, potassium carbonate, other chemicals, which is basically baking soda. They'll add those to the water, and you can add baking soda to any water and make it alkaline. That doesn't make it healthy to drink long term, because it bioaccumulates and it's hard for your body to excrete and actually get rid of the excess calcium. So what happens is it actually builds up and can lead to kidney stones, gallstones, and issues within the body. So you want to be able to create what we call alkalized water,
Mhm.
alkalized instead of alkaline. Yes, it's alkaline on the pH spectrum, but it's created using a process called electrolysis, not by adding synthetic
Chemicals.
chemicals.
Yeah. And like you, with I learned with the plastics too, because when we go outside, you're working and then that sun's beating down, it actually breaks down the carcinogens out of the plastic into the water, which is cancer causing, which I
It
think we
does,
have
and they're
enough
finding that
people
there's
from that.
in just
Yeah.
one bottle of water, there's over 250,000 microplastics in one bottle of just one bottle of water. And those are, again, bioaccumulating even in our brain tissue. And Alzheimer's brains, they found these microplastics. They found it in breast cancer tissue. I mean, our body cannot rid ourselves of these forever toxic materials, or they call them the PFAS, the forever chemicals, and the microplastics. They stay in our body forever. Oh, unless you happen to be like myself, a lactating mother breastfeeding. Now those are going into your baby. So again, when I realized all of this and started learning, I just knew I need to give my son the best that I possibly can. And he drinks the water, he loves it, he sleeps great. And my goodness, it's just been such an incredible
I
blessing.
was going to ask you that too, but I was pretty sure you gave him the water as well,
I
because
did. Yep. I
it's
was
not
like,
like you have to be a
okay,
certain age to drink the proper water, right?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked to his pediatrician about it, and she said, "Yeah, sure, he can drink half of his ounces, or half of his weight in ounces. So he
Mhm.
weighs about 22 pounds, so he can drink about 11 ounces a day." You would think that's a lot for a little guy, but it's amazing. And the reason why also this is so important is people look at, well, I have a reverse osmosis filter or a distiller or something like that, right? Those actually strip minerals out of the body because it has a very positive charge. So it's actually inflammatory acidic water. And people will say, well, I have a mineralizing filter that puts back in the minerals. Well, a lot of them are filters, but they're cartridges you have to replace. And it actually is just adding a synthetic magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, whatever. It's adding a synthetic version back into the water. Your body doesn't know how to absorb those properly. And when you drink this electrolyzed reduced water, it actually, assuming that there's minerals going into it, right? So you want to just use your regular tap water or well water if you have it, and not use any filters that are going to strip the minerals out. It actually highly concentrates the minerals, and your body can absorb them in a way, like we said earlier, that if you take a supplement and you drink it with this water, it's going to enhance that. Well, the same thing happens when you drink this water and it has the naturally occurring minerals within it. Your body actually can absorb those, use them, and then use them to make strong bones and healthy organs. And yeah, it really works.
So I was going to bring that up because I am guilty. We figured we have well water, so we figured we would do the next best thing. We got the reverse osmosis, and then it's like, well, no, that stripped everything out of it. Well, so you kind of can't win. But there are people that live in areas that they can't possibly drink the water. Like if you're in Nevada, I know there's places in Mexico you don't drink the water in Mexico. There's
Right.
certain places you cannot drink the water, so you do need some kind of filter system. And I would say
Absolutely.
some kind of filter is better than none. But of course, if you want to improve your health and get rid of a lot of the, you know, problems that you're having and go to the root cause,
Absolutely.
your ERW there, the water
Yeah.
is best.
Well, and
Electrolyzed.
there is a basic filter
Mhm.
in that the machine itself. It's more designed to protect the machine, but it does filter out a lot of contaminants, and chlorine and rust and heavy metals and things like that. But we do recommend, especially if you're on a well or you live in places where the water is not of good quality, or like
Or
my
not
experience
safe.
in Mexico, right? I have a friend in Mexico, and we're working with other pre-filtration devices again that can be added before the machine, so that the water, filtered water is really the foundation. Okay, so you want to start with a good clean water. Again, you can actually go to the EWG website, the Environmental Working Group. And again, if people want to text me their actual zip code, they can actually text that to my number, and I can give them their water quality reports. But you can also go to ewg.org and find their water quality report, where you put in your zip code where you live, and it'll pull up the reports. Here in Florida, I was astonished to see just how bad our drinking water was coming straight out of the tap. So definitely pre-filtration is a very, very strongly recommended thing to do. And we can help with all of those as well.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know it's always amazing to find out. It's like if you want to keep your head in the sand, you can. But when you got something that's that simple that you fix it. I mean, we always do investments. It's just we're just talking about investing in yourself. But what inspired you? Because I this does help people's pets too, and a lot of us, our pets are our kids. They're near and dear. So, what inspired you to connect your healing with to work with pets?
Yeah, Laura. And I love Bug, by the way, sending him all the love. He's such a sweet boy, and I'm grateful that I've been able to help him even long distance over the years, to really help him feel good as well. And pets are, for me, they're everything. I wanted to be a veterinarian. I did all my prerequisites in college for that, and then I got really disillusioned with Western medicine and how expensive it was to take care of these animals with the allopathic approach of surgery and medication, and witnessing and being a part of euthanizing animals, where there absolutely was treatment protocols that could have saved these animals' lives, but it came down to cost. And it was, the people, the pet guardians, I like to say. I don't say pet owners, because we don't own them, but we're guardians of them. And when a lot of people are struggling financially, and they have to choose between paying a large vet bill or putting their dog down. It really is, it pulls at your heartstrings. And I couldn't in good faith do that in anymore. So I'm grateful that I've been able to help animals. My own animal, Vegas, he's transitioned over the Rainbow Bridge, but he's always there with me. I feel him all the time. And he had come down with a cancer diagnosis. This was, man, back when you and I first met. This was several years ago. And Vegas was 12 years old, and I, didn't know about feeding raw foods and giving CBD and supplements and medicinal mushrooms or energy healing or none of that stuff. He was eating kibble, and I didn't know what I didn't know. And I started learning. And when he collapsed, and we found out that he had internal bleeding and tumors riddled with him, of course, the vets wanted to euthanize him right then and there. And I had just learned Reiki and energy healing. And I sat with him on the cold veterinarian's office floor and asked him, and just said some prayers, and did some energy work with him, and said, if there's any way you can walk out of here, buddy, like, we'll go home and we'll do whatever we can to make you comfortable. And we switched to a raw food diet completely, started on CBD, started on medicinal mushroom supplements, acupressure, acupuncture, frequency healing. I mean, he was getting the whole thing. And there were days that he literally walked out of that vet's office all on his own. The vets were astonished. They thought he was, a goner right then and there. And he lived for several months afterwards and transitioned when it was time for him to go. But there were days that you never would have known anything was even wrong with him. He was having a great time at life. And when it was time, it was his time. But, I share that story because I know how many people, I mean, we spend more energy and investments on our pets. We love them so much, and they really do become our furry family members, whether they're large equine horses, which I do work with them, and or smaller pets. And I mean, every animal is sentient. I believe that they do have a soul. That's my personal belief, and I think they're always here to come teach us something. And this water is such an amazing. I mean, I've literally had dogs that I'll offer them. We're actually in the process of adopting a friend's dog, and he's outside being good, chewing on a rawhide bone. I see him over there, but um, I've offered him, and I'll do a little video of that too, but I'll offer him when I know he's thirsty. Do you want this electrolyzed reduced water, or do you want the tap water or the filtered water? Right? I'll give him choices every time he chooses the electrolyzed reduced water. Like they just know, they know what's good. They can sense the energy in people. Our pets mirror us, like
Mhm.
you had mentioned. It's like they get sick, and sometimes it can be a reflection of our energies. And so I work with the whole family, everybody, the kids, the pets, the people, the grandparents. I mean, it's quite a blessing.
Yeah. So, what do you recommend for pet guardians who want to support their animals naturally?
First thing, everything starts with water. Absolutely, 1000%. I think if you only have one thing to focus on in investing in your health, it's going to be upgrading your drinking water. Because, like you mentioned, we're drinking, well, we should be. I mean, it's astounding to me how many people live off of a Diet Coke or whatever. They don't drink water. And I'm just like, you realize we're made of water. What counts as water? Water.
Right.
Like, just because coffee has water in it doesn't mean that that
Yeah,
counts
that
as
doesn't count
water.
as your water because it's got too much other junk in it.
Right, and it's a diuretic. It actually like depletes us. So I drink a glass of water, but I down a gallon pretty much after that to neutralize it.
Yeah, normally when we're working with people too, we always tell them, you need to sip your water, don't gulp it. If you gulp
Right.
it, you're going to just be peeing
True.
it out 20 to 25 minutes later. But if you're doing all of that and a scan or a report still comes up and says increase hydration, well, then you need to look at what kind of water you are drinking and putting in your body. Because I've
Yeah.
had people that say, but I'm drinking 3 liters of water. That's all I'm
Yeah.
drinking. And they're sipping it through a straw,
Oh,
but yet their body is screaming that they need to increase hydration.
well, here's the other part of that, Laura, is that most water you drink, only 16 to 20% of it is actually absorbed into your body. The rest of it, you're literally just peeing away. When you have it in this smaller structure, they call it microclustered, ways that your body can actually absorb it, that's how you're increasing the hydration, and you're able to drink the water, and it's actually getting into your cells where you're absorbing 90% of it or more. Like it is absolutely a game changer. In fact, my husband, when he started drinking the water again, like I said, he's like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to feel results. He's 200 plus pound, 250 probably. So he was drinking a gallon to 2 gallons a day, which is really recommended for people if you are in a state of needing, to experience some good results. And literally a couple days into it, he like looks at me and he's like, honey, I'm feeling kind of euphoric or something. Like, I don't know, like a little buzz or something. I'm like, that is the feeling of your brain being hydrated.
Functioning.
Your brain, yeah, functioning, hydrating. I mean, you think of a plant that's withering and wilting, it needs water and it'll rebound. Well, our cells are the same way. Our body's the same way. If we're still feeling dehydrated and we're drinking a ton of water, it's likely because you're drinking this dead water that isn't hydrating you, and your body's craving more and more. And the other thing is, if you've ever drink, like you had mentioned, like not to chug a lot of water, which I totally agree, and also not to drink while you're eating. Your body needs to digest and not be neutralized with water. So it's like, just give your body, like, drink 15 minutes beforehand and wait a half an hour before or after you eat, and you'll be fine and you'll absorb the nutrition. But if you've ever felt that, where you drink a lot of water and it feels just like a sloshy gut bomb and it's just sitting there, and you're like, this actually is a very sensory issue that a lot of autistic children have, right? They don't want to drink water. Why? Because the way it makes them feel, because it's not absorbed into the body. When they start drinking this electrolyzed reduced water, they love it. They drink the water, they feel great. I've even had some clients say that they're more autistic children say, I just feel free. I feel happier. I feel like myself again. Like I've never felt this good. So it really is, some people do call it happy water. And it can help with all sorts of things when our body and our mind and our gut are in balance, and all of the systems, the detox pathways, the immune system, when everything, all the systems are go. We've got the trash men taking out the trash, the policemen fighting the bad guys, everything's working in harmony and systems. The body can heal itself. And that's really the takeaway of what this water can do, and the blessings that it can bestow on everybody that hears this message.
Yeah, yeah. And I know, like you said, the water machine itself, the initial investment can be expensive, but you also have different programs where you can work with people,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. In fact, most people that get started like to take advantage of our $0 down, like no money down,
Mhm.
0% interest for 18 months if they can qualify. There's that program. There's other programs. We love to work with people. There's even a referral program that people can earn if they just share, and they can learn about the machine and actually earn commissions. That's what I love about it. It's direct sales affiliates. We have agents. These people are sharing their stories. You don't have to be a science minded individual. You don't have to be a doctor. You can literally have your own experience with the water, help your pets, help your family, and then share those stories with other people. And the company will literally reward you by paying you for those word of mouth referrals, which I think naturally we always do anyways, whether or not we get paid for it or not. I mean, that's the dream, is to be able, for me and my family, it's let us get on a beach permanently, live wherever we want in the world, and get daddy home, because he's
Yep.
working that job, and he loves it. It's a great job. We're very, very grateful. But he is tied down to a location, and he has to travel for work a lot. And so we'd love to just be able to get daddy home as well. I'm grateful that I get to be a stay-at-home mama, building this within the nooks and crannies of a busy nap time schedule that's very condensed. So again, I appreciate your grace
Oh,
today, and
it's fine.
flexibility to
Yeah,
host
and I would
me
tell
and
people
to
you
do
don't
that.
even have to geek out and know all the science, because you
Right.
have Tara for you. She's
There you
already done
go. I'm
it.
here for you. That's
She's all
right.
but done that for you.
Yep.
And actually it's been studying for a while. And it's in a number of countries. So it's
It
not just
is.
US, like you said, it's done in Japan, but it's in multiple
Pretty
countries.
much almost everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure of a list of all of the countries, but there's a way, there's a will,
There's
there's
a
a
will,
way,
there's a way.
for sure.
Yeah, I love that. So your YouTube channel, you have
Mhm.
on there some of your geeked out information about water, and
That's
do you
right.
have on there also? I think, don't you, some of the demonstrations of what this machine can do?
Absolutely. You can go to Aquavita H2O and find out any sort of, um, I mean, there's videos and testimonials. I mean, there's just so much great information in there, the science behind the water. You can listen, you can just, geek out as much as you want down the rabbit hole. There's also athletes videos in there as well. We're talking Tom Brady. All the top athletes are drinking this water. Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, LeBron James, like the whole Seattle Seahawks, the New York Yankees, the LA Dodgers, the US ski team. They are drinking this water. Why? Because when you're an athlete and you need to be in top physical condition, that lactic acid that builds up in your muscles, we know that again, acid, lactic acid, that acidity causes inflammation. When you drink this water and it's flushing out that lactic acid, unlike anything your body has ever felt before, you feel it. You feel it. You don't feel as fatigued, as sore the next day. And that's really why these top level athletes who are pushing their bodies to peak physical conditions are drinking this specific water. Even we're talking Brad Pitt. Interesting. Jennifer Aniston, right? She actually is. She has 4 of these machines, but she is sponsored by Smart Water. So every time she's holding a Smart Water bottle, she's getting paid for that advertisement. But she doesn't drink that. She's drinking this stuff. So that's the beauty of it. Is yeah.
Little unknown secret. Yeah,
Yep.
because I would imagine it would help them, for one, perform better, focus better, recover
Hmm.
better, 'cause, you've seen it help people with that. So a lot of
Oh
people
yeah, I'm
suffer from
talking like
brain fog
big
and headaches and
football players that are like thrashing their body. In fact, I have a friend of mine who played for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he told me that football is not a combat sport, it's a collision sport. Like there is a collision every single play on the field, and that wrecks a lot of havoc on people's brains and their bodies. And, it's like, my goodness, these guys really thrash their bodies.
Yeah, I know a couple of them from the travel world too. You know, Peter
Mm-hmm.
Jensen and Charles Nicholson, and they'll tell you NFL stands for not for long,
Uh-huh.
because it
Yep.
is extremely hard on the body. So,
Absolutely.
but Tara, we got about 4 minutes left.
Cool.
So, what do you want to make sure people know? I've got the number up there so that they can text Mindful Mondays if they want more information about the water. But what is the most important thing you want people to take away and know?
Oh, there is hope. There really is. There is hope in hydration. There is hope in prayer, and what you're praying for, what you're looking for in this world, it'll never pass you by. So if you're landing and you're hearing this message and you're on this call, you're listening, watching this recording on any of the platforms, just know that we care about you deeply. We care about you and your families. Laura is such an incredible leader and servant person. She just is here to share the information. That's all we do. We align with people that are calling out to us for help. That's what we're here for. Again, we would love to be able to say that this can help you. And again, we don't know. Everybody is different. Every single situation is different, but everything starts from hydration. And a lot of amazing, amazing things can can really happen when you have this. And I'll share one story with you guys. A good friend of mine, she's a nurse, and she was experiencing such debilitating pain in her body. I didn't know this. I called her up on her birthday just to wish her a happy birthday. And I said, "How are you feeling?" And she says, "Not good. My doctors are running tests. They're talking about potentially cancer, MS, rheumatoid arthritis. We don't know what's going on. I'm on a ton of medication." She works night shift. She's miserable as a nurse, overworked and burned out, struggling. I said, of course, I had like two voices in my head. Don't tell her about the water. That would be rude. It's her birthday. Then you have to tell her about the water. It could be the biggest gift she ever needed. I'm back and forth ping ponging in my head. I'm like, honey, I have to tell you about this. I won't be able to sleep if I don't share this with you. And I really think, will you please look at this? And she goes, wow, I was literally looking at this 2 weeks ago. I think that's a sign. And she got a machine, and within a week, she was off all of her medication. She is feeling so fabulous. Of course, she's telling everybody she can meet and know about it as well, because it sometimes can be as easy as water, guys. It's absolutely. So, blessings and paradise to everybody, and may the water lead your way, the path, and follow the flow. We're here for you.
Yeah, and that's a good lesson there too. Never assume you know what's going on in someone else's world, because you don't.
Yeah.
And
She literally tells me it's the biggest gift I could have ever given her now.
yeah.
I mean, it's like, whoa, if I
And
had
I always
told
love
her,
your
my God.
passion, because, like I said, you've experienced, and when you experience such a life changing thing, and you're not in pain, and you can enjoy life to its fullest again, it's really hard not to share that, or
Yeah,
not to want to share that with people, because
yeah,
you hate seeing people suffer.
yeah.
And yeah,
We're bringing heaven to earth now, and that's where the shift starts. And people are waking up, and they're learning again to be their own best advocate. So,
yeah.
yep,
Well, Tara, thanks again for joining us and sharing all of your wonderful knowledge and wisdom with us, and all those experiences and testimonies. I absolutely love them. You're living proof that together we can do more. So I want to thank you so much for taking the time and sharing that with everybody.
of course. Thank you, Laura, for being a blessing in this world as well.
Thank you. So everybody, I hope you've learned something, or like I said, you don't know what you don't know. And if you do have any questions, you can see Tara is very easy to talk to. So just scroll those numbers. You'll also see them in the description, but contact her if you have any kind of questions. This is not to push anything on anybody, or it's just to give you information, because if you don't know it's out there, then, how can you help heal, right? So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you again next week.